Where was he born?
Probably in Aspinwall, which is a suburb of Pittsburgh.
Aside from your adventures in California and he lived in Pittsburgh most all of his life. And then he went to what, Muskingum College, was it?
Yes,
Okay. Any idea what he studied in college?
I think he did history.
Like, did he go straight to seminary from college? Do you think?
Yes, I think so.
Okay. And where was his first pastorate?
I think he left seminary and went clear out to Oakland, California.
Oh wow! And then what about your mother, Jane? Where was she born?
I don't know whether they talked about that, but she was in the Pittsburgh area all her life.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
until they moved away.
Okay. And would any chance she went to college?
Uh, Did what?
Go to college?
No, she did not go to college.
Okay.
She she left high school, in fact, early.
That was she. Did she go get a job or something?
She was working. I remember she worked at Jones and Laughlin Steel Company.
Oh, how?
Doing secretarial work or something like that.
Oh, interesting.
Until she married him. I don't know
And do you have any idea how they met?
how they met.
Yeah.
I think they probably met at the young people's the youth group at the Eighth United Presbyterian Church there in Pittsburgh.
Oh. Huh. Okay. Great.
They would have been, it would have been their parents, the great grandparents of mine, that would have come over from. But I really don't know that much about it.
Do you think they were German?
Not Corbett. They were more English.
Oh, okay.
From England, and
Uh-huh.
I don't know about Scotland or
So
somewhere in the British Isles.
okay, so Corbett was grandma's last name, so we're talking your grandfather, at least we think. Okay, and you must have known him well, right? I mean, all these grandparents, you and your childhood came to know all of them, and they were all local to you in Pittsburgh. When you eventually weren't they in Pittsburgh, right?
Yes.
Okay.
That Grandpa Corbett worked for Westinghouse.
Oh wow.
Stacking shelves or something
I
like.
I see. Yeah.
Or sweeping the floors, or he became a foreman.
Good. Okay.
So
great.
And that's all I know about
Okay.
Grandpa.
Sounds like good stock. Sounds like good stock you come from.
Yeah. But you said you didn't know them.
No, I don't.
No,
The only thing I remember is this mysterious lady that lived upstairs at Grandma and Grandpa's house in Emsworth, which
and that was
later,
Grandma Miller.
that was Grandma Miller. Okay. A department store called Horns, I think.
Orange, yeah, we even have a picture to put in that book. Picture
Right.
down in there of Grandpa standing in front of the Orange store.
So this is your Miller grandpa.
Yeah,
and he so he worked there.
Yeah, he was a buyer in the drapery department.
Really? How interesting. Well, he must have known a lot about draperies.
Yeah, he probably gradually did, but I was young. I was like you. I was young then. I don't remember too much about it. I think he showed us through there one time.
Well, I wonder, in your childhood, did you guys go to Horns a lot because you had this family connection?
Yeah, I think Mother had credit there for when we lived in Emsworth or something like that.
So when you lived in Emsworth, in your earliest days in Emsworth, both of those, your Grandpa Miller's parents were both alive and living their lives at that time?
No, we were, Grandpa, we only visited because he died isn't this interesting? He died in 1946.
Oh, huh. Right after the war.
Uh-huh, yeah, because David and Leland and I had to, because when Daddy heard about his father dying, then he had to rush over there to be with Grandma and so on, to Pittsburgh, and we were in Cambridge.
Oh, okay. Oh, interesting. Okay.
And so we rode on a bus, I think it was, and there were a lot of servicemen coming back from the war, still on.
Wow.
I remember that.
I'm sorry, so you were in Cambridge in 46, and you rode trains back to Pittsburgh for a funeral for your grandfather.
Yeah, did I say train? I said bus.
Oh, bus. I'm sorry. No, I'm just a slow listener is all.
No.
Okay. Oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah, because I still have remembrance of, we had suitcases out in the aisles because those seats were filled up in the bus. A lot of them filled up with servicemen coming back from their
what a time.
serving in the war.
That must have been something. So that's interesting. One of the things we'll talk about later is just like transportation in those days. But I think you said your father owned cars in these days, right? Owned a car.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of curious, why would you ride a bus if you had a car? Because that's not that long a drive.
Well, see, we only had one car, and Daddy took the car to get over there to Pittsburgh from Cambridge.
Oh, right.
To be with Grandma when Grandpa died.
So so Grandma Miller and the three kids all hopped the bus and rode over to join him later.
I think Grandma, my mother must have gone with him over there.
Oh, so you guys, the three of you rode the bus?
Well, if I was 16,
yeah,
and he did his service, what he was in the Army, he was
I remember tanks in Korea, right?
Yeah.
Right.
He was in Korea but he was a radio man. I don't know whether I still have some letters of his. David was good at writing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, we should find that. So let's go back to your birth now. So you were born where? Someplace near and dear to me. Oakland, California. So you were born in Oakland in 1930. And what was that story about your adventuresome walk?
Yeah, that's what they tell me. Because you suppose a 3-year-old, I got away from Mother somehow, and walked across that main street. It probably was 3-lane, not 4-lane then, and somehow I remembered the church then. And
so you walked from your home to the church, which was maybe 2 or 3 blocks.
Yes.
Wow.
And
somebody found you, luckily. Did you find your way to Grandpa's office, do you think? Or
no, I think I was sitting on the front steps.
Oh my.
There used to be a picture of that, of me sitting there on the
interesting.
steps of that church.
Huh.
but I don't know where it went.
Well, Wayne and Susan and I, and was Hemi with us? I don't remember, but we all walked back and forth between that church and your old house a couple of years ago. Yeah. So we have pictures of that.
Really, I was really ambitious then.
Boy, I wish we could get you back there to walk it again with us. See if you remember any of it. It's a charming little neighborhood there.
Is it?
The funny thing is that church is, the map now says it's a Berkeley church. I mean, Oakland and Berkeley are very close. I mean, they border each other right there. So that's interesting. I don't know if maybe they moved the border or what, because it's called a Berkeley church. But not a minor detail, really. And what about your two brothers? David, do you know where were they in Pittsburgh or in Oakland when David was born?
We kids were all born in Oakland, California.
Oh. Decided you moved away from there to go to LA when you were approximately 4 years old. So, I really don't know much of anything about LA. So, tell me what, if anything, do you remember of those years? Because you were quite a bit older by the time you come back to Cambridge, so you probably do have memories there. You remember going? Do you think you went to kindergarten there, Mom?
I remember being in a little play at what do you call it? Because Mother had to fix me up the outfit to wear. They made them out of some kind of paper.
Huh.
But I remember that it was pink and green. But as far as learning anything, I don't know whether I learned anything. How do you remember being third grade?
Well, boy, just bits and pieces, admittedly, yeah.
Yeah, that's what.
Did you ever go to the ocean?
Yeah.
Oh, good. So that would be memorable.
Yeah.
So your family would go enjoy a day on a Saturday or something, and oh, that's great. They have nice warm water down there, unlike where we live. We have freezing cold water in the ocean.
I don't know anything about the water except I think that's a place where David had to go get me because I was that the place where I got under and he thought I was not going to get up out of there. But
wow.
I don't know.
Interesting. Well, thank God for David then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you remember, like, when you kids were in your younger years, like, what did your family do for fun?
I do remember going camping, but I can't remember where that was.
Oh, camping, good.
Mount Rainier. What? I remember them talking about Mount Rainier, but I don't know where that was.
Oh, that's if my memory serves me right, it's like outside of Seattle. Do you think you ever went to vacation up in Seattle?
I don't remember.
Okay. Oh, how interesting.
When we moved from California, I was in the third grade.
That's what I was asking, right? Third grade.
Dad's church was on, and it was called the Second United Presbyterian Church because there was a First United Presbyterian Church around the corner someplace from it.
Oh, wow. What stiff competition.
Yeah, the same denomination.
That's strange.
And then was the Presbyterian, which now would be, if it is anything, would have been USA around another corner.
And so, Wayne and John and I, and maybe Cindy, but we remember Grandpa telling us made up stories like the monk, a horse, and the elephant, hippopotamus, and all that.
Oh,
Uh,
yes.
did Grandpa tell you stories like that?
Yeah, he told me stories.
Oh,
Those,
he had already invented those characters in your youth.
when, I can't remember just when he recalled those stories, you know.
But he did tell you stories. I guess that's the important thing.
Yes,
Oh, that's great. I'll bet that was fun.
yeah,
Uh huh. And did your family sing together a lot?
yes, I think we did.
Oh, I'll bet. Did Grandma play? I know Grandpa was quite a pianist. Was Grandma a pianist as well?
Well, yeah, of course, Grandpa pretty much played by ear or something like that.
Wow.
And she had, as a young girl, she had taken piano lessons, and she was a good pianist, I know.
Oh, good. Huh. Do you remember the three of you, David, Leland, and yourself? Did you have chores around the house?
Yes, I think we did. Mhm.
Do you remember what some of those might have been?
I
Okay.
remember mowing lawns and things like outside.
Oh, really? You do remember mowing the lawn?
Yeah,
Oh, great. Huh. Like, which cities were you in when you were mowing a lawn?
um, Cambridge, Ohio.
Ah, okay. Yeah, good. Any more memories of Grandma and Grandpa? Like, were they tough or kind or somewhere in between or?
Certain things they were.
Uh-huh.
I don't think that they were very strict. I don't know. One thing I remembered about dances at school was that was the days that jitterbug came in.
Is that right?
And I never learned to jitterbug, but some of my friends did,
Oh.
and they go to.
Wow, I'm so shocked and appalled that you were allowed to dance at school since you told me you weren't allowed to dance at Sterling College.
No, yeah, well, we were not allowed to dance in school, but in the gymnasium or
Well,
someplace.
right, at an official dance, I suppose, like maybe on a Friday night or something.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. But you went to dances?
I must have gone with some of the friends I had, just to or just watch or something. I don't know.
Okay. Did you do any kind of sports?
Well, that's funny. I must have learned to play tennis when I was in high school. Here, probably, because they had coal furnaces, and you had to have coal delivered.
Oh,
And
wow.
then Dad had to put the coal in the furnace in the what part of it? What do we call it?
Yeah, I don't know yeah, good question. How fascinating. Boy, how many times a day would he shovel coal in there?
I don't know.
Interesting. Huh.
I probably stayed away as much as I
Yeah.
could.
Do you think so that coal would just at least in the wintertime it would just be burning all day long?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, in the winter time.
Wow. Oh, hey, if you look back, I mean, I assume all these homes you lived in your whole life, as far as you know, there was electricity and indoor plumbing, all these things. Is that right?
That I must have taken for granted and everything.
Yeah.
I, as a little kid.
Well, I'm just thinking of Aunt Dorothy's story about their family. They definitely did not have indoor plumbing early on, and they definitely didn't have electricity, I believe, early on. So I just wonder, but you had, I think, a more civilized life. So, and they were out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
To be, I mean, pardon my French, but you were more in pretty city-like dwellings. Were there fun places you liked to go? Did you go to, what do they call it? The places where you'd go get soda and ice cream or whatever.
A drugstore.
Okay, a drugstore, yeah. It
Well,
was,
I know in Cambridge where we walked from the school over to some drugstore to get. I never had any money to. My folks didn't give me money.
Well, that was going to be my next question. You beat me to it. Did you have any money to spend when you went there?
No, because I remember there was a friend, and now this is in Cambridge, but this could have been when we started high school, because I started high school there, and one of the girls that was in our wedding, when you saw the pictures of that, she was a friend from high school. We just walked straight from the high school to this drugstore, and I remembered that, and her name was Joanna, and she got to get a Coke or something all the time because she had money to do that, and I never could get anything because she was an only child, and I think they just.
Well, yeah, your parents had to split the allowance 3 ways instead of 1 way.
Okay, that sign was on the church here at Emsworth during the time of our dad's pastorate from 1946 to 1965.
I spent my junior and senior years in high school at Emsworth.
Okay.
Your grandpa and my dad were the minister there he was there for 19 years.
Oh,
Daddy
wow.
was.
Oh, good. What was your school called at Emsworth? Can you remember that? Your high school?
It was Avonworth High School.
Avonworth. That sounds familiar. Okay. And was it near home? Did you walk to school?
Yes, unless the weather was bad. Just a few blocks.
Oh, okay. So, now did Grandma drive a car?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so if it was bad weather and somebody drove you, or were you going to say like you rode a bus or something if it was bad weather?
No, didn't have a bus.
So Grandpa might have driven you sometimes.
Yeah.
I always found it curious that, as far as I know, Leland and David didn't go to college, but the daughter in this upscale Emsworth family went to college, and I might have thought it would be more likely that men versus women went to college back in those days. Were you like more academically inclined than them, or are you more interested in meeting a husband than them?
Yeah, there are people that have always asked that.
Any answer at all? That
Leland just didn't keep on. He started to Westminster College up in Wilmington, Pennsylvania.
Oh, was that another Presbyterian school?
I don't even know whether he went 2 years. You know, and David didn't start at all because he went into the service.
Oh, okay, right. Yes, that's a good point. Do you remember that there were certain classes in high school that you enjoyed more than others?
I had a good teacher for physics.
All right.
Even though I took physics, I didn't get a very good grade in it, I don't think. But chemistry I liked. And I think I always did well in English and stuff like that.
Well, I guess at the most basic level, like, the fact that an atom's made up of neutrons and protons in its nucleus, and it has electrons circling around it. These things must have been very clear and taught even in high school, I would guess. Do you remember that at all?
Oh, yeah?
Okay, good. Good. Because I had just read recently that at the turn of the century, so, 4 decades earlier, at least 4 decades earlier, they didn't know anything about, they weren't even sure atoms existed. So there was a lot of progress, during your father's and mother's lifetime, early lifetime. Anyway, I digress. Okay.
I think I remember my dad saying something about wishing he had taken, maybe you heard him say that,
Well,
that he had taken science rather than, he took, like when he went on to college, he took more history and stuff like that rather than.
Well, that's what, I don't remember any specificity of talking about science with Grandpa, but I just feel like I remember just having deep conversations with Grandpa. He was just interested in delving into, thinking deeply, which I tend to credit him and my dad as the people who perhaps early in life, challenged me to think deeply about things. So good for him. But interesting, you think you didn't work outside the home until like after your junior year? Wow, they weren't slave drivers there. Okay. You didn't have to mow the lawn or anything like that? That was probably David and Leland.
We didn't, fortunately, there wasn't much lawn around that house.
Oh, I don't remember that very well.
But he kept a somewhat of a garden. Dad did, just like everybody else did. That was started during the war,
Mm-hmm.
And then, but I don't know whether Daddy raised tomatoes and stuff like that.
So I'm guessing it was not a tiny garden. It was probably a decent size.
No, it wasn't tiny, but I don't. When they moved, now see, we moved from Cambridge to Pittsburgh to Emsworth in between my junior and senior. No, what did I say? Sophomore and junior years.
Oh, right. So World War II is ending by the time. Yeah, I think we decided that World War II ended before you moved to Emsworth. So he wasn't gardening in Emsworth during the war, but maybe they were seriously gardening in Cambridge because there were probably shortages of things.
Sometimes, but I don't remember that.
When you were in high school or maybe even younger, what kind of things did you do to make money?
In high school?
Yeah.
I probably didn't work outside the home until maybe my year in between junior and senior year, where that's when I started to work at the Clark Candy Bar Company.
Oh.
I was in the office, so I did some kind of typing, or because I had studied typing in high school.
Oh.
And but I stayed there nearly all the time during college. I stayed working for the Clark Candy Bar Company.
Oh, you mean in your summers during college?
Yeah, in the summers.
Oh, good.
And the man from church, from Dad's church, would drive me down there because it was my remembrance is that was across the river. Remember there's 3 rivers or 2 rivers that meet and make the Ohio.
Right, the something in the Monongahela,
and Allegheny. It was previous to because it had cards with it.
Oh, really?
that came out.
Like, was there like some kind of punch card kind of thing?
Yeah.
Really? Oh, how fascinating.
That's why I was in
Let's see, so
college.
we're talking like 1945-ish. There certainly was not any kind of a computer, but like IBM already existed, and they did some kind of punch cards that they would put data onto cards, and then they would tabulate them somehow, and it was some early precursor to computers. Wow, it'd be great if we had pictures of whatever you were doing there. That'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, when you were growing up, like you were in high school, you know, like a junior in high school, did you want to grow up and become something like a nurse or a teacher or a doctor or something?
I did want to be a nurse, prepare by going to college, and cause my father was a religious one, what do you call it?
Pastor?
I wanted to be a missionary nurse.
Oh, good for you.
Wow.
Okay.
That was
Well,
probably
how did you ever come about the decision to go to Sterling College? It's a long ways away from there.
I went to what was called the New Wilmington Missionary Conference up at New Wilmington, Pennsylvania.
Yes.
And there I met some kids that were going to Sterling College.
Oh, great.
They said, why don't you come out there too? And I didn't know anything about it, but they said, you'll like it out there.
Wow. And did you ever visit Sterling before you started college?
No.
So sight unseen. Maybe,
Yeah,
did you ever see like
we didn't
brochures
have
or
any videos,
something?
any pictures of it or anything.
Oh well. How many suitcases did it take you to pack up and go to Sterling?
Not very many, probably one, because I had my folks, one of those big,
Is it something you could hang your clothes in?
yeah, you could hang clothes in it, and there were drawers in the other side. But my folks had used it, you know, and then
Oh,
they
good.
gave it to me to use to take to Sterling.
Okay. So you'd hang a few clothes and put a few things in a drawer?
In drawers in it. Mhm.
Wow. Okay, but still, when it came time to go to Sterling,
Yeah, that's what
I mean,
you
I think you're going to tell us in a moment here that you eventually had a friend in Chicago that you would travel with.
Yeah.
But was she already your friend when you first went off to Sterling? Or
I knew her. I must have known her family too.
you probably corresponded by letters, postal mail, and agreed to meet on your way to Sterling, and then the two of you would travel together.
Yeah, from Chicago.
Right,
From
yeah, from
Chicago
Chicago,
down
yeah. Did I say
Because
that? Yeah.
we,
Wow. But I mean, would you have had to organize this by postal mail, or you wouldn't get on the phone with people, would you?
yeah.
Oh, you might have? Oh,
Right.
okay. I figured it was too expensive to make long distance calls.
Knowing my father, he probably made the arrangements.
Oh.
I think it was.
So you would
But
get on one
seems
leg.
like we stayed all night somewhere with Jeanette's sister. Her name was Eleanor Vandervoort, and she was at school at Wheaton College. She made it possible for us to stay there and then to get back to the railway station.
Did the train take you into Sterling itself?
It did stop at Sterling.
Oh, that's amazing.
But it was,
No, aside from your friend that you traveled with, did you know anybody else at Sterling when you arrived?
well, I had met a few of those girls at the New Wilmington Missionary
Oh, good.
Conference. And so,
do you remember, did you consider other colleges at all? Or was this just kind of an obvious choice at that point and you just did it?
I considered Westminster was just a few miles up the road.
Oh, wow. Now, isn't that interesting that you chose to travel all the way to Kansas instead of the Presbyterian school that was down the
Yeah, I
road?
wanted
Do you,
to
any
get
idea?
away- Wanted to get away from my folks, I
You
guess.
think? Really?
I don't even remember, Bruce.
Interesting. Okay. Maybe
Well-
they wanted to get
well,
rid of you.
My dad knew some.
Maybe your grandpa and grandma wanted to get rid of you.
Yeah.
No.
And keep the two boys, you
Oh,
mean?
yeah, I don't know about
two
that. I think
brothers.
they probably would rather keep you. Okay.
And so I said to my dad, you know, should I go? Presbyterian ministers usually got some kind of a thing.
They got a deal?
Hmm?
They get a special deal?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So it didn't really matter to him. But boy, they really hated to see Joann go so far away.
Oh, your parents did? Oh, okay. Well, we wondered about that.
Yeah, because that
Seems
is
like a
pretty
big
far.
decision. But you told us before that you didn't think it was like a scary thing to go do. Is that the way you remember it?
Remember, I was 18 years old, and first time, what do you call it? Adventuresome, I guess.
You were?
Oh, good. In each year, how often would you go home? Would you only go home? I assume you would go home at Christmas, or maybe not even that. I don't know.
No, you just wanted to.
Oh, really? Not till the end of the school year to go home? Wow.
There was one women's dorm at that time, and that was it. The fellas stayed in homes.
Oh,
They opened up.
wow.
Richard stayed in. He had about 3 fellas he stayed with, and wish he could tell you more about
Yeah.
it, because at first I don't know. I don't know how that worked out, but they all stayed in homes around town.
Wow. So multiple hundred college men are scattered about homes around the town. There might have been a big room with beds in it, and that's different than the room where you did your homework or kept your clothes or whatever.
Right.
Oh, that's so
our
interesting.
desks and our closets in their our clothes closets were, of course, down on the floor, and I suppose it was the second floor. One of the things I remember was when it was really cold, that the guys made snowballs and threw them up into the room, up into the dormitory. Just imagine sleeping in the way.
Yeah, right. Okay.
So they'll throw it at the third floor windows where you guys were sleeping?
Yeah.
Oh.
Did anybody go open the window and yell at them or something? Or cheer them
The
on?
girls probably hollered down to them, get lost or something.
Yeah, all right. That's funny.
That's funny. So did
Okay.
they have parties at the dormitories or anything like that?
We did have some parties, and they usually just involved us gals, you know, not the fellas.
Oh, I see. Well, was there ever activities where women and men got together with some chaperones, like in an evening for some activity or something?
A roller skating rink,
Oh,
and we got to skate on that. And but I don't remember skating with fellas, but I'll bet they did. I'll bet there were some of them.
right. Okay.
I just didn't pay attention. I had come away from Sterling, or from home, kind of going with the fella that I quit going with after the first semester.
Oh.
I said we didn't need to see each other anymore because
Right.
he didn't care. So.
Remember what year of your schooling you and Dad started dating?
That was while we were in our freshman year, I think.
Really? Oh wow.
But then Richard came into the picture too. He was pretty popular among guys out there, I noticed.
Oh, Dad was?
Richard was.
Oh, good for him. I could imagine.
That's why I sat back and waited till he got interested in me.
Wow. You're
I
thinking,
know,
I'm going to
I'm
land that
just saying
popular
that.
guy.
Huh?
You were thinking, I'm going to land that popular guy.
Well, so did you or did you go up and say hello to him first?
The thing I remember about us meeting was, Sterling College always had where the students got together for something like a chapel each day.
Mm.
As I can still see us sitting with him and there were some other fellows with him in the rows in front of where I went. And I just remember sitting in back of him, and he was talking to some guys, and he started talking to Joann Miller, and so I was real pleased, tickled with that.
Good for you. How fun. Huh. Oh, that's so nice.
So then we started dating. The kind of dating they didn't cost very much, and usually we just take a walk together.
Uh-huh. Oh, wow. Did you two ever kiss each other at Sterling?
Before you were engaged?
Yes, right. And did your parents know it? No, but let's get
My
back.
parents didn't know it, of course.
Oh, so you did. Okay, so it's on record. Did you enjoy it?
That's inappropriate. That's funny. So they probably didn't allow, Sterling College is a Presbyterian college. So did they let people hold hands and stuff on campus?
I think they must have.
Huh.
Boy, look at that picture we have. There's at least one picture of you and Dad sitting very close to each other on the lawn at Sterling.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And presumably that was legal.
Did you have like favorite classes? What was most interesting to you?
It was kind of hard for me because one of the things I signed up for was German, because my dad in his home, they had spoken some German. But because Grandma Miller came out of German roots, and he started speaking German right away, and I guess I wasn't prepared for that. So I changed, after a few months, I changed to French.
Oh, very good. You can speak French with Hemi. I'm sure you'll both remember it well.
When you wrote papers at school, would they have to be typed or could you just handwrite them?
Like if you're in an English class or a literature class or a history class?
I don't know, it was a good old-fashioned typewriter.
But you would have to type them rather than write them. Okay.
Really.
Did you have jobs while you were in Sterling?
Yeah, but I guess I was supposed to put that money towards the bill.
Sure. Oh, yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know.
What jobs did you and Dad have?
I worked, well, he worked in the kitchen some. I think he would tell you that he helped make salads. I don't
good.
remember. Oh, I cleaned some lady's house.
Oh, good.
Roberta Kilburn, I remember now.
Uh-huh.
I did that 1 year,
Okay.
and she gave me $3 a time to do it.
$3. Wonder how long did you have to work for $3? I wonder. Like
You mean
2
how
hours
long
or
in
something?
a day? Or,
Yeah.
Well, I just cleaned until
Until it was
I
clean.
had it done.
Yeah, right. But I mean, do you think that was 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours?
Couple hours at the most.
Well, that seems like that was probably pretty good money. I don't really know it. Were you in a club of some kind?
Well, there was a sports club, the Women's Athletic Association, that, you know, the women all, the gals back practically all belonged to.
Oh,
And that's when we had basketball games and
Great.
stuff.
okay. And other sports beyond basketball that you remember this club would orchestrate?
Volleyball,
Oh, good.
but that's about all.
We'll
I
visit his parents at some point while still at Sterling.
Probably on a choir trip when we included that
Oh.
Emsworth Church.
Oh, that's right. We have a picture of you and Dad on a choir trip with Grandpa in
uh-huh.
the picture.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, so there's a nice connection. And do you think Grandpa approved of Dad?
Of course, maybe he didn't even know at that time that we were ready to think about marriage. I don't
Oh,
know.
you sly foxes. Wow. Was there like a specific point in time where Dad proposed to you? Or was it more of a gradual decision between the two of you?
We thought we must have talked about marriage, but it had to do with him going to seminary and I would be going home, because this was at the end of college, you know.
So, 1952, you graduate from Sterling.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you guys
Both of us.
walk the thing with your hats on and all, and
Yeah,
did your parents come and experience that?
yeah.
Oh,
They
good.
came to that
Okay,
graduation.
and so Dad's parents probably were there too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but by that time you knew, at that graduation point in time, you already knew you were engaged. Is that right? Okay, good. So 52, he just drove out to, or rode the train or whatever out to Pittsburgh, and then within 3 months he's in seminary.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, he rode with the Knoxes. Do you remember that name?
Sure, yeah, where they are.
And we got married in May. You know.
Do you think that was, so maybe that was just like toward the end of his first year of seminary? Wouldn't that be right?
Yeah.
Because what year were you married? You were married
that's
in
right, 'cause
53?
he had roomed with what's his name for a year after college graduation and 1 year in seminary. He was before we got married.
Yeah, I think it's Emsworth Church. Don't you think? Okay.
Yeah, where they got all the ferns. I never saw a wedding that had
Oh yeah, that's some.
greenery back.
I mean, it wasn't like part of the normal decor of the church, right? That was
No,
there for your
no.
wedding. Hmm.
he started driving my dad's car. Daddy must have gotten a new car. It was a Dodge. I know it was a Dodge.
Okay.
Your dad would say, "Good for you, Joann."
Yeah. So the Dodge that Grandpa Miller passed down to Dad was Dad's first car, and it was a Dodge.
Mhm.
Okay.
And it
wow.
was
Well, that's good to
green.
know. It was
It
green.
was some kind of green.
Wonder how many
Maida
years that lasted
Maida and
you.
I used to laugh about that because all we knew was the color of the car.
Okay. Remember you worked in a lab of some kind.
Yeah,
And this is out on this Neville
Yeah, it was a
Island?
dye stuffs lab.
Oh, I see. Dyes like color.
We
Okay.
used to take little pieces of cloth and dye them. I don't know.
Huh. You're experimenting maybe with ingredients to make dyes, maybe? Or test dyes, maybe?
Pittsburgh Coke and Chemical.
Oh, that's
Pittsburgh
right.
Coke and Chemical.
Pittsburgh Coke
Why
and
did
Chemical.
Why did they call it that? Pittsburgh Coke and Chemical.
Well, Coke is an ingredient in steel, right? Given that Pittsburgh's big steel city at that time, I gotta believe Coke had to do with steel. You know.
Because remember, he went 3 years to seminary.
Well, yeah, I've seen the pictures of you and Dad holding John are clearly during seminary. You could just tell from the people in the pictures. While Dad was in seminary, and probably after you're married, he goes and spends a summer in Buffalo, New York, as some kind of a interim or internship or something like that. Anything you can tell us about that? Where you?
And so we took little Johnny.
Oh.
Johnny.
Uh-huh. Right.
And stayed with a man and his son. So I even sometimes I think had to cook an evening meal. Gosh, those poor guys. They had to eat my food.
Uh-huh. Okay. Now, was Dad, do you remember, was he the minister at the church that he was assigned to for the summer? Or was he like an assistant minister?
Yeah, an assistant minister.
Okay.
And while we were there, Mother and Dad came up, and we all went to Niagara Falls. And,
Oh, nice. Oh,
Yeah.
we probably have a picture or pictures from Niagara Falls.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow, I got to dig that up. Because so after seminary, you moved to Summerfield. Now, what Wayne tells me, or reminded me, is that he was born while Dad was the minister in Summerfield, but you had to go to the hospital in Pawnee City, Nebraska. So that explains why he was born in Nebraska. You didn't actually live in Nebraska.
Yeah.
He was just born in Nebraska.
Yeah, no.
And we looked at the little announcement of Wayne's birth in your memorabilia last night.
Yeah.
Anything else about Wayne's birth?
We should have left it out and let him have it, shouldn't we?
He said he has the same thing. I don't know how.
Oh, does he?
I don't know how you guys happen to have two different copies, but good for you that you held on to all that.
Okay.
Whew.
Well, I was 25 when he was born.
Okay.
But, there were 25 years difference between Wayne and me, because I was 25 when I had Wayne, and Wayne was 25 when
Andrew
they
was
had
born.
Andrew.
Oh, that's a great story.
So Andrew's just exactly 50 years younger than me.
Oh, interesting. Dad's invited from Summerfield to go out to Leota. So you come to Leota. What about that house we lived in? Because the first memories I have are of you guys living in a temporary house while they were working on the manse. But
That's
you must
right.
have lived in the manse when you first came, but then you moved away. You see what I'm saying? How did that work?
We were in some old house that had what termites or whatever you call it in there.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And that was right next to the church where
Yes.
the new place would be
Yes,
later?
and so they carried it off on, I remember them carrying off on those, some wheels or something and putting
Yes.
it out
I remember that. Didn't they like give it to the poor or something like
to
that?
the Mexicans,
The migrant workers.
migrant workers, yeah.
Wow, that is fascinating.
And then they started in building a house.
The migrant workers, there's a whole story there. I don't remember this whole story. They were like off on the other side of the tracks.
Yeah.
Well, metaphorically. I think they actually were on the same side of the tracks. But
Yeah.
but they would just, there was housing where they would just come through and live for a week or two and then move on to the next city. What about the birth of your very talented third son?
No, you were born at the same time, what's her name, had a little girl. And then later you probably knew each other in school. Or
Yeah,
something.
well, that's what I remember. For some reason, I thought her name was Becky Breaky, but
It could be. You might have been right. I don't know. Well, Bruce, you had to have that little bit of surgery there.
mhm.
It
I don't know. I don't know how soon after my birth was that. How far after my birth was that?
I don't know.
About it. You know, you had already had 4 kids, and one of whom unfortunately passed away early. But then what brought about it the idea that maybe adoption would be a good thing to do?
We knew some people out in Leota who had adopted their last name was Miller, in fact. They had adopted from this, in Oklahoma City, this Home of Redeeming Love, it was called. It was a you know, how did they label that? Because it was for people who didn't want to keep their baby, and so the baby was, and because we already had 3 boys, we said, I remember because there was a lady, nowadays when they call them in social service or something like that, that they had a person come up from this place and interview us to see if we would, but would be.
Okay. Do you think you passed the test?
I think so.
Do you remember at all? Like, what kind of things were they looking for? What kind of thing? Do you remember anything about that? What did she ask you?
Well, she found out your dad was a minister.
I bet that got you a lot of extra points.
Yeah. I said we would like a little girl because we had 3 boys.
Yeah, good choice. Enough of those boys. Good. Okay. Do you remember where she was born?
Well, I think she must have been born in Oklahoma City.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay. So, and as I recall, you obviously, well, like obviously the birthday we celebrate with Cindy is her actual biological birth date.
Yeah.
And then I think, and I know John's really good at recognizing this, but we remember the date that she arrived with our family too, right? And she wasn't very old.
No.
Do you remember?
We got her when she was only 2 weeks old.
Whoa, boy, they're really running a JIT system there. Wow. Huh.
That's pretty young.
Yeah. Was it like one day out of the blue you get a phone call and they say, okay, we found a baby, you got to plan your trip?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Huh.
So we left. We took John with us. He was about 11 years old.
Why
you may have stayed with Woodbury's.
I would say something like that. See, I don't know if this is correct, but I just remember, and Wayne and I are out riding bikes around town, and we were telling our friend, I remember we rode up to some friend's house and we're talking to him, we said, yeah, we're getting a new baby today. And they're like, oh, wait, what? You know, like, how do you get a new baby? You know, like, but then we rode our bikes over and you guys arrived home and we saw a new baby.
Family circus, cartoon or what is it? Comic strip.
Yeah.
The dad must have sent me, and the little boy or girl is asking, you know, when you got me, did you? It gave two options of how they got him, and obviously Dad thought it was funny, and that's why I sent it to you about being picked or something. I've got it hanging on my fridge. I'll have to take a picture of it and send to show it to you.
Yeah.
Because I found it when I was going through things before, you know, we were packing up to move.
Oh, that's interesting.
What was your favorite dish to take to a covered dish?
Oh.
As a pastor's wife.
Oh my, I don't remember.
Jello with walnuts.
And little tiny marshmallows.
Oh yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, let me try another one on you. What I remember is best day of the week for the meals you would make for us would be Sunday after church. And it would often be roast beef with vegetables in it.
And carrots.
And we loved that.
Loved your gravy.
Yeah.
Oh.
Did you pass down the recipe to Cindy?
I don't have it.
Over pretty near the church. Ohio Avenue? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, it did. And you guys, some of you anyways, stayed in the basement because there was a bedroom fixed up down there.
Yeah. Yeah, Wayne and I, boy, we had a great bedroom. It was huge. At least in my mind, it was huge. Yeah. And Dad built this really cool, I don't know how to describe it. It's kind of a fort in the back corner. There's this whole encompassed, he took a closet and we encompassed it, and there was like 2 levels inside of it. One of us could hang out down below, one of us above, and we'd go read Hardy Boy books there.
I think there's a picture in some of this of one of you sitting on a top deck. And
oh, could be, yeah. But yeah, and that's where I broke my arm first, playing on the inner tube back there.
Mm-hmm. And Dr. Anderson came over.
Yeah, we had the good life. Every time I got in big trouble, Dr. Anderson would come over and personally take me to the hospital. Life was good. Have your own personal physician like that. That's one of my favorite stories is when I broke my arm. I think it was Sunday night because Dad was very busy at the church. Did you break
at the elbow or where?
It was wrist right here because I came
even
flying down off the inner tube and hit my 2 hands down and it literally bent. Oh. I pick it up and all the kids are like, Bruce, and I'm like crying and screaming and everybody's like, quiet, we don't want to get in trouble. So you're just gonna have to be okay. And I'm like, my wrist is literally bent. I'm like, I'm not gonna just hide this, you know. And I must have been, well, I was probably 8, maybe 9. But anyway, Dr. Anderson takes me to the hospital because, like I said, I think it was Sunday night because Dad was really busy with something at church and it was a bad time to leave. So you guys hand me over to Dr. Anderson. You didn't go with me. I go to at least the way I remember it, I go to the hospital and, you go to a hospital and somebody has to like interview you and write down a bunch of stuff. They didn't enter it in the computer in those days, obviously. And she says, what does your father do for a living? Because Dr. Anderson was like, I'm not related, he'll have, but he'll explain this. What does your father do for a living? And I said, oh, he's a priest. And like, I don't know, minister, priest, all the same to me. The lady's like, her jaw drops, and like, finally she waves Dr. Anderson over, and he laughs.
Oh my gosh, what's all that?
Here we are at family camp, putting our tent up. There's Bruce, Richard, Dale, Kristen and Joey sitting down and John with the poles. Well, let's see how long it takes. Bruce?
Yeah.
Want to give us any words of wisdom here?
No, just don't use too much footage.
This is not something he wants to remember later.
Hi, Amy.
Hi.
Finally, someone speaks.
Good to see you in Colorado.
Thank you. Hi, Andrew.
Hi.
Andrew, say something exciting.
Oh, now she's looking at me through the pose.
Hello, Susan. Bruce? Where are we?
Oh, we're in Guffey, Colorado at Delphinium's.
Oh, okay.
And we're having an awesomely grand time.
Okay.
Awesomely grand. What's this? Yeah. Baba. Oh my God.
My memory of my childhood is that when we traveled, it usually involved camping at night. You know, as we're traveling, we would camp at night before we moved on the next day. Did you enjoy camping, Mom?
Not exactly.
And just because you had to do all the work, would that be the reason you didn't enjoy it? Like what was fun or what was not fun about camping?
Having to clean up. Yeah.
Were your three sons really helpful in, you know, setting up and shutting down and cooking and all?
Well, their dad saw to it that they were helpful.
I do recall a fair amount of gnashing of teeth to get us to help. Because I just feel like we'd show up at a campsite and we just wanted to take off and hike the hills. You guys had to set up the campground, so there would be some yelling involved.
Her hubby.
That they had out there in Sharpsburg, and then above Sharpsburg there's a cemetery where our great-grandparents...
Christopher and Spencer are somewhere.
Spencer's sleeping.
Oh, Spencer's sleeping.
So he's
Some
going to go back
people might be interested in going to what they call Pittsburgh and go up onto the hill where Grandfather Miller and Grandmother Miller...
This is the building where Grandpa Miller worked.
Correct, right.
For years and years and years. Of
50
course, I'm
years, right.
taking it from the car. So cute. The Joseph Horn Department Store. It's now Lazarus.
Yes, unfortunately.
Yeah.
This golf ball fell out of the tree. Out of the last cemetery. The wind blew and it dropped out of the tree. I thought there must be
Talking about cooking or
Yes.
anything like that. My dad, I think probably the favorite stories with my dad would be when we came, this would have been in later years, when we came over to Pittsburgh and he and I went in the various churches around Pittsburgh to look at the architect inside the churches, both Roman Catholic churches as well as Protestant churches, and did a lot of studying of the architect of these various churches around Pittsburgh.
Well, what do you remember about your mother? What's one of the things, something that she baked or something that she did for you all the
I
time?
have difficulty in putting my feelings into words. That's my problem.
Oh, well, no wonder you never got married. David, you have to learn how to put your feelings into words if you want to get a woman. Now, come on. Now, come on.
Feelings? What are feelings? Well, I think
Uh-oh, you better have them, buddy. You're not getting married.
there's never a day goes by that I just express my thanks to Almighty God for blessing me with such fine, devoted Christian parents. I just don't know where I'd be without them.
Again, look at those happy, happy faces. Wave it, hi!
As I told Kathy and Dan, I was a good friend of their mothers, Eleanor. And one summer, when your folks, this was before your time, when they were living in Columbus. When they were living in Columbus, and I think Marilyn was just over a year old. And so Eleanor, of course, her father worked for the Pennsylvania Railroad, so she got to ride the train free out through Cambridge, Ohio, where we were then living. And Daddy took me to the train, and I hopped on. And I don't know whether hopefully it'll take my way. But we rode together to visit the Ellises in Columbus. Okay, well, Marilyn was only about this big. And I remember one morning, Eleanor and I got up and went out to breakfast, and Aunt Margaret had dressed her in a Marilyn in a little sunsuit, you know what those are. But it was hot, and Marilyn had taken that off, and she hung it by a strap around her neck. And that sticks in my head.
I'll share that with Marilyn.
Parents are still there in Emsworth. The house, bless it, is no longer there. That's a shame. It was a great old house and had 3 stories. On the first floor, well, it had a basement, yeah. On the first floor, you walked in this great hall. Right off to the left was where Grandma Corbett had a little apartment. Well, you go up the stairs, and Grandma Miller had a kitchen and a sitting room and so on. Well, Bruce was very small when we first started coming there. In fact, you know, at any rate, he can remember, or we remember very well, he was maybe 4 or 5 or something like that after we visited at one time. And he was with great puzzlement saying, well, who's that old lady that's always upstairs there when we come to visit? And he had no idea, had not connected at all that there was any, that she was related to the family. All he knew was there was an old lady living upstairs. So I don't know whether she heard that or not.
Richard, this is the site of this gold house built. Do you know what that is?
I think that has to do with the 50th anniversary of you and me celebrating by building a house. A habitat house for Ingrid Garrett and her family. And this looks like...
We're going to be so happy and glad to be serving in this way. And so we'll see you back there at that lemonade stand. Richard and I will be serving.
And we'll be here with this house right here. The house will be here. And you can enjoy going through it with us and to meet the family too. So we'll see you later.
Mom, how's it looking?
Hey, it looks great. I'm surprised they're getting all this done.
Oh, good.
Those guys are ambitious.
Okay. Hey, Steve and Cindy, how do we do today?
We did great, Bruce. We're right on schedule. Everything's peachy.
Well, good.
Going to have a good day tomorrow. It's going to be cloudy and cool. We're not sure it's going to be here, but it's going to be cloudy and cool somewhere. So.
Okay, we'll start it all over again. 19.
Do I take pictures of what you're taking pictures of?
Sure, go ahead. What do you want to do, Joann?
No pictures.
I'm gonna let it shine. This gold has some mind. I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
This is a very special day. It's a special day for Ingrid and her family. It's also a very special day for the Schechter family. It's often said that Habitat houses are houses built by love. And that's no more true for any of our houses than it is for this house. Because it is Joann and Richard's love that produced the Schechter family, and it's the Schechter family's love for them that has produced this house.
This is Wendy, and this is my story about Joann being instrumental in my music career. Now, I have taught piano lessons for about 44 years, and I have a degree in education with music certification. I've been able to direct choirs and all sorts of things, and it's all because I took piano lessons from Joann until I was 10 when you moved, and I enjoyed them. I never minded going to piano lessons, except Bruce and Cindy did scare me sometimes. But I never minded going. She was always so nice. I did John Thompson all the way through like the 5th book. I learned to read music really well. And when I was in high school, I had to switch over to my Aunt Margaret Hewish, and she scared me, and I would cry at lessons. I'd just sit there, cry, because, and maybe I didn't practice as much as I should, but she had a totally different teaching style. But I'd had so much of a background, I wanted to continue. I went and I took piano lessons all through college and did choir and band and everything. And it was all because of my musical foundation from Joann. All of that combined made my music career, which has not been my vocation, but it's been my avocation, that has been one of the best parts of my life. And so I'm forever grateful.
down the hallway here, there's a piano. Do you think if we walked you over there, you might be able to play a little bit on the piano? Be worth a try?
Would you try?
No, about the only things I ever learned to play were the hymns.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's gonna be too hard. Hard when I get.
Well, I'll tell you, it sounds a lot better than when I play it.
Well, and Grandpa was known for.
Oh, he would have a fit.
But he was known for writing songs in odd keys and odd times.
Making me remember things I forget.
That's our job.
Yeah.
What's your absolute favorite food, Mom?
Probably ice cream.
Oh, good answer.
Do you have a favorite flavor of ice cream?
No, the one kind of nuts in it. I can't even.
Oh, something pecan? Butter pecan? Oh, good choice. I think Dad liked that too, right? I mean, it may not have been his favorite, but.
I suppose he did.
Okay, Mom. I think your actress performance for the day is complete for now.
Okay.
You're captured on film yet again. Yeah, are you? You feel like you're getting the gist of the iPad as yet?
Sort of. Now I'm. It's like I'm backing up after the picture you took of me at the Golden Lamb.
Oh, okay.
And there's a comment from Cindy. This makes my heart happy. Now that she's commenting on that picture, probably of you handing me with the wine stuff.
Oh, is that right? Well, that's nice. Huh.
And John put a thumbs up there.
Uh-huh. Oh, Mom, it's like you're natural. Good for you.